Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel where biblical backgrounds matter. We'll get into Genesis chapter 47 and verse 27 today. But for some further background and context, you'll remember that Joseph dealt with the famine. Jacob's journey to Egypt finally happened. He finally was told by his own sons that Joseph was still alive in the land of Egypt. He didn't believe it at first, but when they told him again, he finally believed it, jumped for joy, and had them take him down to Egypt. Joseph provided for his own family as well as for the land of Egypt. He gave his family food and money. And God used him for his glory. He made him basically a type of savior. Genesis 47:27. So Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen. There again, you back up a few verses, you'll remember that the rest of the family dwelt outside of Egypt, in the land of Goshen, which was the next best land to the land of Egypt as far as food and shelter goes. It was a place where they could still shepherd their own flocks. See, they were still shepherds. And you'll remember that agriculture was the way of earning a living worldwide. Verse 28, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. When the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, now if I have found favor in your sight, please put your hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. This was the way of making a covenant or a bargain. He says, please do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. You shall carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place. And he said, I will do as you have said. Then he said, swear to me. And he swore to him. So Israel bowed himself on the head of the bed. Jacob was ready to die. And he did die. But he had one request from Joseph, to be buried with his father and his grandfather, Isaac and Abraham, and not in the land of Egypt. So getting into chapter 48, just before Jacob died, he blessed the sons of Joseph. Now it came to pass after these things that Joseph was told, indeed your father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh was the oldest, Ephraim was the youngest. Verse 2, and Jacob was told, look, your son Joseph is coming to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up on his bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful, and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people, and give this land to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. Your offspring, who you beget after them, shall be yours, but they will be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. So Ephraim and Manasseh were set apart to be the 11th and 12th tribe of Israel. Even if and when Joseph had more children, the number of tribes was complete. Remember that God used Joseph to provide for the famine in the land. So God's purpose for his life was basically complete at that time. Verse 7, But as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, and I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Then Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom God has given me in this place. And he said, Bring them to me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but in fact God has also shown me your offspring. So Joseph brought them from beside his knees, and he bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. Then Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads. Let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. So he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. Culturally and traditionally, the firstborn was to be blessed as the spiritual leader and was to receive a double portion of the inheritance as the head of the family, as the patriarch, and to distribute the inheritance as he saw fit. But God overrides all tradition. You'll remember that he overrode Isaac and he blessed Jacob instead of Esau. Although Jacob and Rebekah had tricked and deceived Isaac and Esau, because Esau became the prideful one and the worldly one and the stumbling block to Jacob, God blessed Jacob and made him the nation of Israel. He made Esau the nation of Edom. Verse 19, but his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations. Manasseh was the older one. Ephraim was the younger one. Jacob understood Joseph's frustration, but the promise was made that Ephraim would be blessed first, and then Manasseh after him would become a separate land and would be blessed. But Manasseh would be seen as a half-tribe of Israel. Verse 20, so he blessed them that day, saying, by you Israel will bless, saying, may God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, behold, I am dying, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow. Jacob gave an inheritance to Joseph, a portion of what he had taken from the Amorites, most likely in a time of war. You got to remember that the writer of Genesis was Moses. And Moses learned everything from the Hebrew point of view. He learned of all the wars that were fought in taking such land for the nation of Israel. He learned of all the battles that were fought. So it is safe to say that as the nation of Israel was becoming such a nation as God had promised, that there were spiritual battles to be fought. Spiritual battles to be fought. There were physical battles to be fought. Because God will not accept, shall we say, a co-worship with other pagan gods. He will not coexist with them. He will not let his chosen people coexist with the rest of the world and be defiled. Which just shows that when they chose to embrace the rest of the world, that Israel became defiled and corrupt, and God had to punish them and judge them. Now, as we get into the first 28 verses of Genesis chapter 49, we have Jacob's last words to his sons. And Jacob called his sons and said, Gather together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Gather together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed. Then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Reuben, being the firstborn, had defiled his father's bed. So therefore, while Jacob blessed him, he also pronounced a curse on him, which was carried out by God. Verse 5, Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their dwelling place. Let not my soul enter their counsel. Let not my honor be united to their assembly. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they hamstrung an ox. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Simeon and Levi had a curse pronounced on them by Jacob, which was carried out by God. Simeon still became the second tribe of the nation of Israel. Levi at this time was set apart for the priesthood. But later on, when you get into Revelation, Levi will be included with the 12 tribes of Israel, because basically you're back to the original 12 sons of Jacob. Genesis chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. Judah was made originally one of the 12 tribes of Israel, but later on he was made a separate nation, basically the southern border of Israel. And the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin basically combined with one another. There again, you get symbolism to Revelation. Why? Because verse 9 says, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, he lies down as a lion. And as a lion, who shall rouse him? In Revelation, Jesus is said to be the Lion of the tribe of Judah. It says, and the lion will lay down with the lamb. Jesus was first the sacrificial lamb that bore the sins of the world. And then in his second coming, he is the lion of the tribe of Judah. And as such, he is King of kings, Lord of lords, and the righteous judge. Verse 11 of Genesis chapter 49. Binding his donkey to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun shall dwell by the haven of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall adjoin to Sidon. Zebulun was blessed as a safe haven of the nation of Israel. Verse 14, Issachar is a strong donkey, lying down between two burdens. He saw the rest was good, and that the land was pleasant. He bowed his shoulder to bear a burden, and became a band of slaves. Zebulun was symbolic as the place of rest. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 and 29, where Jesus says, Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your souls. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So we see that Jesus is our resting place. He is our safe haven. Verse 16 of Genesis chapter 49. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels, so that its rider shall fall backward. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. So Jacob pronounces the blessing on Dan basically as the warrior, and then he prays to God and says that he has been waiting for his salvation. The donkey is seen as what one rides during times of peace. Verse 19, Gad, a troop shall tramp upon him, but he shall triumph at last. Bread from Asher shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a deer let loose. He uses beautiful words. So Gad is said to be trampled, but still triumphant. Asher shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. He was the tribe of royalty. Naphtali is a deer let loose. He uses beautiful words. Naphtali could be said to be the encouraging tribe, or the deceitful tribe. Verse 22, Joseph is a fruitful bow by a well. His branches run over the wall. The archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him and hated him, but his bow remained in strength. And the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. That's why we can say that Joseph was used as typology of Jesus Christ. Because in the last part of verse 24 it says, "From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel." Remember that Joseph was used to provide food for the famine. In the same way that Jesus came forth to provide salvation for all who truly believe. Verse 25, "By the God of your fathers who will help you, and by the Almighty who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of your father have excelled the blessings of my ancestors, up to the utmost bound to the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers." Remember at this time to go back a few verses to where Jacob had blessed Ephraim and Manasseh. And as you go forward into 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles and even into the book of Judges, you'll see that Ephraim and Manasseh were named as tribes of Israel. Joseph was not. But he was mentioned again as the original one of the 12 in Revelation. Genesis chapter 49, verses 27 and 28. "Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father spoke to them. And he blessed them, and he blessed each one according to his own blessing." Levi also was not mentioned as one of the tribes when you get into the book of Judges, in 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles, but he also is mentioned as one of the original 12 when you get into Revelation. Why? Because in the Old Testament, Levi was set apart for the royal priesthood. He was the forefather of the priesthood. All of his descendants, Moses and Aaron, and all their descendants would be priests of the nation of Israel and of Judah. And with that being said, as always, leave your comments down in the comments section and any questions you might have. And then I'll do my best to try to answer those questions in the next video. But until next time, may God bless you, and remember that biblical backgrounds matter. Y'all have a good day.